Hey everybody, welcome back to the Engineer channel. My name is Tim, the engineer, and today is going to be the very first video of our build series. So if you haven't watched the intro video, which explains what we're doing here, what a drone pack is, how I'm planning to break world records of human performance, definitely start there. I'll link that video down in the description below, which is going to explain everything about the project and really help you understand why we're building what we're building now. But if you did watch that video, you'll remember one of the first steps was we're going to build a suspension system above my treadmill to help me do some sort of like gait analysis and stride analysis and help me understand how much weight I need to remove from my body with the next gen drone pack in order to start feeling augmented and break those world records of human performance. But before we hit the build, just want to let everybody know we officially have our own engineer merch store. So if you'd like to buy a piece of garb, piece of swag to support the channel, you can do that down also in the description below. And without further ado, let's get on to the build. This diagram shows exactly what we're building. Above my beautifully drawn treadmill, you can see that there's a carabiner which is going to attach to a harness that I'll be wearing while I'm on the treadmill. The red line here represents a piece of wire rope that's going to go around two of these blue pulleys, which will be connected to the ceiling with aluminum bars. So the aluminum bars will be bolted to the joist. It will also hold the pulley, and then the wire rope will go up through the pulley over 90 inches span across to the other pulley, and then down to basically a counterweight. And that counterweight, represented here by the purple square, will probably be concrete blocks. What we're going to do is actually create a weight cradle, so that way we can take 4 points of mounting and use a chain to come up to a single point on another carabiner, and we'll be able to vary the weight on that side. So we'll be able to simulate all kinds of different forces pulling up on my body on the treadmill, because it's just a one-to-one relationship. No matter, or however much weight we put over here will effectively be pulling up on me over there. And part of the reason why I want that to be variable is so that we can simulate the Mars gravity. So how much will that be that we need to take off me? Let's calculate that now. All right, what I have here up on the board is the gravitational forces of both Mars and Earth. And what we can do is actually divide Earth's gravity by Mars's and get a conversion factor here of 0.378. And what we can do with that conversion factor is we can actually take my current weight of 200 pounds and multiply it to figure out what my weight on Mars would be. And one small caveat here is that I'm actually planning on losing weight for my record attempts. So over the course of the next 6 months, I'm planning on losing somewhere around 25 pounds, which will put me at 175 pounds at the time I'm trying to break the world record for human foot speed. But for right now, I'm floating around this weight. So in order for me to conduct this experiment, I need to calculate from that. So using our Mars-Earth gravitational conversion factor of 0.378, my current weight on Mars would be approximately 75 pounds. So what we can do is we can take that my current weight on Earth minus my Mars weight, and then we'll know what we need to provide for assistance in order to simulate my weight on Mars. Now that we know exactly how much weight that I need to remove from my body in order to simulate the gravitational environment of Mars, and we know the design for our project, let's go to Home Depot and get those materials we need. Now that I'm back from Home Depot with my materials in hand, let's get going on those aluminum brackets. brackets all mounted up and secured. And I even was able to go down to my local hardware store and find some spacers. So that way the pulley can move fore and aft down this bolt, with a little less resistance. That way if I'm running and it's going back and forth, it can slide about that axis. Now the next thing we need to build are the chains for the weight cradle. It was a warm New Hampshire spring day, so I decided to take my cutting outside and save myself some cleanup. Now that I've got all of my pieces cut, let's head back inside and put it together. I don't have an official tool sponsor for the channel yet, but I do have these Ryobi tools and I like them a lot. So I think it'd be pretty awesome to run the next gen drone pack on power tool batteries. So if you're somebody from Ryobi, I'm probably gonna reach out to you if you watch the channel. Yeah, we'd love to work with you. Don't mind my fail of a thumbs up that didn't make it into the shot. I'm trying to show you that the weight cradle is done, and now it's on to the wire rope. Big thanks to one of my best friends, Kyle, for letting me know that these sorts of wire rope clamps are actually directional with respect to the orientation of the rope. This is something I had no idea about, and it's truly one of the things I love most about building things. No matter how much you think you know, there is a new discovery around the corner that you can only unlock by continuing to try and sometimes failing at new things. And that's a principle that I apply to my whole life. Just like that, we've got our Mars gravity simulator completely built, ready to go. So if I reach up and grab this carabiner, which will be attached to my body harness, and pull that down, it lifts the counterweight cradle, and I'll be able to vary the amount of weight on there. Now, of course, the cradle itself has a weight. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to measure up the weight of the cradle, so that way we know exactly what the baseline is for the assistance I'll be receiving. But the next step is to finally test it and see what happens. Well, this was slightly less impressive on camera than I had hoped, and the biggest reason for that was just that the ceiling height was limiting how high I could jump to show the changes in my perceived gravity. I went through all of the different block combinations from just 2 blocks, which produced almost no effect, to 6 blocks, where the assistance was the highest, but the pulleys didn't operate well. I picked small pulleys so that I wouldn't use much vertical height, so I could jump as high as possible, but the small pulleys ended up creating friction in the system that didn't allow them to operate with the large amount of weight. I knew this would happen to some extent, but I just didn't anticipate the effects to be this large. Even though this demonstration didn't end up being as visual as I had hoped, I got some really important information from it. First was that the harness is not suitable for running while holding weight. I already knew this might be the case, but this really drove home that I needed to design a different human-machine interface for all of the future designs to attach to. The second thing was how little weight I actually needed to feel augmented. Right around 3 blocks, or approximately 60 pounds with the weight cradle, I started to feel perceptibly lighter. Sometimes you can't learn everything on a whiteboard, and engineering is a process of building, learning, and applying those learnings to advance towards your goal. Today, we did just that. I'm looking forward to more visually impressive results in the future, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this process with me.
All right, that's going to do it for today's build series. Thank you so much for joining me. In one of the next videos, what we're going to end up doing is actually using that simulator on the treadmill and incrementing the weight up slowly, so that way I can get a feel for the perception of how much weight I need to remove myself in order to feel really augmented. And that's going to be the start of my discovery journey on building the next generation of mule. So if you recall from the first video, that's actually step 2. There's something between this build that we just did and the next gen drone pack. And this is going to be a multi-video build episode where I'm going to bring you through elements of design, assembly, testing, refinement. It's going to be really fun. So it would mean the world to me if you just subscribe to the channel, maybe share it with a friend. If you can like the videos, that helps the channel out a bunch. And I'm going to have a lot of new content coming out over the course of the next couple months, including my training as I get the athletic side of my mission going. And yeah, I can't wait to share that with you all. So until next time, onward and upward, and I'm out.
I grew up in a place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the page, but I didn't like their way. Had to fight and misbehave, had to find a way to change, had to leave to find my way. Caught up in a daydream, I beat my mind up.